Hey Nintendo, where's Tingle? I've been waiting a long time and still nothing. With every new Zelda game that comes out, I eagerly await to see if my green spandex-clad prince will be making an appearance, only to be let down.
Hey, listen! This video contains major Tingle-related spoilers, including the most recent Zelda release, The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom.
I've been playing the newest Zelda game, Tears of the Kingdom, and I've been having a lot of fun. While I was running around and exploring, a thought occurred to me.
I wonder if Tingle is in this game.
I decided to look it up, and then I fell ill. Tingle is not in Tears of the Kingdom. Yeah, because after I checked to see if he was in the game, I immediately got sick. But I really wanted to make this video, so please bear with me. I've been waiting for 20 years, and still, Tingle hasn't appeared in a mainline Zelda game. Sure, he's had some cameos, and even a game series of his own, but the last time Tingle was around was in Wind Waker, all the way back on the GameCube in 2003. When I say mainline, I'm talking about the games Nintendo considers canon to the Zelda universe. There are a lot of Zelda spin-off games that Tingle pops up in from time to time. Tingle is a rambunctious cartographer who uses a balloon attached to his back to get high enough in the sky to map out areas. He believes he is a forest fairy just like Link, but in reality he's a 35-year-old man-child with a wild imagination. His debut was in Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask for the N64. He was actually created as a unique way to receive maps for areas you were exploring. I found an article on Kotaku where Eiji Aonuma, Zelda's current producer, goes more in depth about Tingle's backstory. The way the design of this character started is that we needed to think about how the character, the player, would get access to maps in the game. Of course, you could go with a situation where, as soon as they see an area, you just open up your map and it fills it in for you. But we wanted to do something a little bit different. So we thought, what if you had to buy maps? Then suddenly, we needed a character that you would be buying maps from. We ultimately ended up with a character here that had a little bit of humor to him that came from thinking of, what sort of person would sell a map? And, well, we decided it would be the kind of person who makes a map. And the way that he makes a map is by floating through the air so that he can see the contours of the land and draw them. But as soon as we got that far in the process, we realized anybody that would fly through the air making a map has got to be a really weird person. So at that point, we decided, okay, we'll go with this and make him a really weird guy. And that's how Tingle was born. I want to take a moment to congratulate the game dev team behind Majora's Mask on incorporating unlocking maps through world building. Tingle was literally a solution to a problem, and it makes sense. Tingle uses a balloon to float up in the air and look down on the ground and draw out maps of the areas that you haven't visited yet. It almost fits the Zelda universe too perfectly. Majora's Mask is a fantastic starting point for Tingle too. The atmosphere of that game is just super eerie and obtuse. Besides Majora's Mask, Tingle has made quite a few appearances in other Zelda games throughout the years, specifically from like 2000 to 2009. I'd say this was the prime time to be a Tingle lover like me. Now this video isn't a review of the games that Tingle appeared in, but I want to give a brief history of how his character has been represented in the Legend of Zelda franchise. Tingle made an appearance in the Legend of Zelda Oracle of Ages for the Game Boy Color. This is actually the first time I interacted with Tingle, since I didn't play Majora's Mask until much later. He offers an upgrade as well as an ocean chart that helps Link on his adventure. Tingle also played an important role in the Legend of Zelda The Wind Waker on the Nintendo GameCube via the Game Boy Advance. Once you rescued him from prison, he'd give you something called a Tingle Tuner, which would allow a second player to use the GBA via a link cable to assist Link. It wouldn't surprise me if a lot of people never use this feature, since you needed a GameCube, a link cable, a GBA, and a friend all at once to get full functionality. We also learned that Tingle has two brothers, Knuckle and Ankle, as well as a captive, David Jr. They work for Tingle for free. If you use the Tingle tuner, you get some additional backstory. It's implied in Wind Waker that this Tingle isn't Tingle, but rather someone who worships Tingle. They just took on his name and appearance for religious purposes, so anything that this Tingle does shouldn't reflect on the real Tingle. The Tingle tuner feature was actually carried over to the Legend of Zelda Wind Waker HD for the Wii U. Instead of the tuner, he gives you the Tingle bottle, which allows you to post messages and pictographs to the Miiverse. Tingle is infamously responsible for helping you find the Triforce shards located in the Great Sea. You get him some maps, he deciphers them for you, aiding in your completion of the game. Finally, Tingle earned a starring role in not one, but 4 games for the Nintendo DS. None released in North America. One was a balloon fight reskin, and one was a set of applications. These were both digital-only purchases on the eShop. His other 2 games were full releases: freshly picked Tingle's Rosy Rupee Land and Ripened Tingle's Balloon Trip of Love. Fantastic titles. They are puzzle adventure games. I've only played Rosy Rupee Land, and I'd compare it to Hamtaro Ham Ham Heartbreak or Pac-Man 2: The New Adventures. These games focus on a man who, similarly to Wind Waker, isn't actually Tingle, but rather someone who dons the titular Tingle moniker. Tingle started getting his own games, which, in my mind, gave me hope about the longevity of his character. I was wrong. Although Tingle as a character and his DS games did very well critically and commercially in Japan, the same cannot be said about the rest of the world. I decided to check out some articles that came up during the 9-year peak of Tingle's exposure. This led me down a very hate-filled rabbit hole. Everyone has a hobby. Tingle's is making maps, and mine is collecting gaming magazines. I actually have quite a few, and my favorites are the Nintendo Power ones. I figured a good way to gauge interest in this character would be to check a reliable source. In issue 207, which I own 2 copies of for some reason, features a beautiful Rayman Raving Rabbids cover. This issue has a few-page spread about Tingle's Rosy Rupee Land, which at this point was only confirmed to be released in Japan, and it might be the first time this game was ever mentioned in the publication. The author gives a summary of the game and asks readers to write to Nintendo of America if they'd be interested in seeing this game coming stateside. In issue 208, which I only own 1 of for some reason, features a beautiful Final Fantasy III DS cover. Nintendo Power responded to those letters they received. Here is one they chose to run. I am a hardcore Zelda fan, and I immensely dislike Tingle. But that doesn't mean I wouldn't want to play freshly picked Tingle's Rose-Colored Rupee Land. I read about the game in volume 207 and it sounds really fun. If the game is exclusive to Japan, that would just mean that America is missing out on a Zelda game. Yes, it counts as a Zelda game. So please, Nintendo, bring freshly picked Tingle's Rose-Colored Rupee Land to America. Oh boy. Well, things aren't looking good for us Tingle tuners. So it seems that people's love for the Zelda franchise has outweighed their disdain for the Tingle character. Which makes sense. If you love the game series, one singular background character shouldn't spoil the entire game experience. But the willingness to still play or support a game made entirely about that character is impressive. Also in the same Nintendo Power, they have a section called The Stuff of Legends, and Tingle is in the top 5 supporting characters? I'm getting mixed messages here. Another article I found was from IGN titled, Die Tingle, Die, Die, which just boils down to some IGN employee venting about how much they hate Tingle and hope he died after Wind Waker, and mentions they hope he isn't in the next Zelda game. At the time this article was written, Twilight Princess was in development but hadn't been revealed yet, which is ironic because a character named Perlo who resembles Tingle shows up in Twilight Princess. This person isn't Tingle, but they look a lot like him. Reading this IGN article really bummed me out. It's very hate-filled, and like, why? For what reason? If you really have such resentment for a singular background character so much that you have to start a hate campaign, I think it's time you step away from the internet for a bit and go on a walk and reconsider your life choices. You might be like, but Pug, it's just a joke, and yeah, maybe, but I get the feeling that whoever wrote this article was getting something off their chest. I'll leave a link in the description if you want to read it, and then you can tell me what you think.
Tingle haters only fuel my passion.
The most recent game to feature Tingle as a physical character was Hyrule Warriors for the Wii U and 3DS as DLC, as well as the Switch port of the same game, which included all the DLC bundled in, so you can start playing as Tingle from the get-go. I don't know if this is a controversial take or not, but this version of Tingle is by far my favorite in design. I really like how Tingle looks in Wind Waker, but this one really plays off of Tingle's conniving, impish nature. He will also strike idle poses sometimes during a finisher, which is a nice touch. Apparently, Aonuma recommended not including Tingle in the game, which would have been tragic. Tingle in Hyrule Warriors is red hot, dripping wet, and ready to burst! I was super excited for Tears of the Kingdom. I had a lot of fun with Breath of the Wild, and all of the new features look super engaging and time-consuming. But the one thing I was most hopeful for was a return of my boy Tingle. Unfortunately, this did not happen. There is an island named after Tingle. Tingle? Tingle? As well as his brothers and David Jr. If you played Breath of the Wild before, you'll remember a lot of locations on the map are named after side characters or references, so it makes sense that Tingle would find representation this way. Him and his posse being islands is a nice touch and feels like a throwback to his Wind Waker appearance. But just like its predecessor, Tears of the Kingdom did include the Tingle outfit, which I am a huge fan of. It practically turns Link into Tingle. I opted to use this outfit exclusively for my Breath of the Wild playthrough, and will probably use it a lot in Tears of the Kingdom. It increases your running speed at night, and when you talk to people, they react shocked or afraid when they see you. I dig it. It seems like Beetle from Wind Waker is the Tingle replacement in terms of returning side characters. And I'm not complaining. I like Beetle a lot too, but he's no Tingle. Beetle has made an appearance in just about as many mainline Zelda games as Tingle has now though. So my guess is he's here to stay. But who knows? I could be wrong about this. I really would like to see another appearance of Tingle in the future, and I don't doubt that we will. It just might not be the actual character, but more references. I could easily see him appearing in more of the spin-off games though, and maybe that's where he belongs. Who knows? One thing I do know is, I'll be waiting for you, Tingle. Kulu Impa! Thanks for watching. I hope you liked the video, even though I sound sick. If you enjoyed it, check out some of my other videos, and subscribe to see more. See you soon!